Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333 and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order, Last Days of Europe. It's been a while since we've sat down and had a good old pre-recorded series, at least in a whole. And the last time we sat down for all the way through and just played through a series together was with good old Tomsk. We sat down into one of the more stable, or less cursed, I guess, is the best way to put it, Russian warlord states. We reunified the Central Siberian Republic as a humanist, set up a very strong human-centered economy, and then we elected the modernists and set the newly reunited Russia on the way to the future. We also kind of recorded the England series a bit, but I won't include that for the purpose of it, so I do recommend you check out both, because they were a lot of fun. But now it's time to go ahead and fill a bit of promise I've sort of been doing. Back when I did my 300 sub special, which was about a month ago at the time of me recording this, so I've about doubled my sub count since, which, thank you guys again. I did a little poll asking you guys just which major nation I'm gonna hop into first, because there you got the big boys. You got USA, Deutschland, Nippon, Italia. I think I include China in there too, though I'm glad you guys didn't pick China right now because it's kind of boring. And I know that they're already saying how they were gonna rework. I know Japan. I think China partially too, but anyway, that's besides the point, because the poll was I tried to pull it up real quick, but last time I checked it, it was pretty clear in the favor of Germany and a Mr. Adolf Hitler. So let's go ahead and hop in. Well, first let's figure out what all of this is about. Once humbled by their failures in the Weltkrieg, Germany once more rose to prominence with the leadership of Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. Thanks to the failures of the Allies, World War II has ended in complete German victory. Germany now presides over the most powerful empire on earth, but despite her victory, Germany's control remains tenuous at best. Wrecked by an economic crash that has frozen the nation for a decade, and with a massive slave caste providing for the German people, the population has begun to protest. The nation is now trapped in a series of student protests and the machinations of the Reichsbank. So it's not... Everything looks kind of stable at first. I mean, we got a bunch of Reichskommissariats, the Niederlande, Norwegian, Böhmen und Mähren, the Generalgouvernement, Ukraine, Ostland, Muscovien, Caucasian. I think I pronounced all those correctly. I'm kind of proud of myself for that. Plus we have Serbia as a puppet of ours. Burgundy, sort of, but they're going to break away soon enough. Cornwall. It's pretty neat. So we have a pretty solid power base going for us. But the question is, will it last? And we'll have to wait and see, but the answer is probably no. At least not in the form that it is now. So we'll go ahead and load on in. The 5 modernizations. Becoming the sick man. Speaking of modernizations, I need to upgrade my computer, because she could use some better CPU processing. I mean, it doesn't need it, but it'd be nice to upgrade her. I'm just fucking broke right now. I finally got a job again after COVID. You know, kind of can't cut mine short. Well, it was already... It's a seasonal... I have to load anyway, so I'll wait. I had a job up at a ski resort near where I live, and it ended in early March, just about. Late February, early March, because of seasonal stuff. You know, snow wasn't coming in. They were planning on reopening, and this was right when COVID was, you know, becoming a big deal. And then we saw that, and I saw that, I'm like, it's probably a bad idea to reopen this place, but, I mean, I'll go if they pay me. And then Governor Newsom put the shutdown order in place, and here we are. Anyhow. And here, speaking of here we are, there we are. Das Großgermanische Reich. And there goes all my good German pronunciations, I guess. Over the course of the two most destructive wars in history, Germany has lost everything only to gain the world. The 1,000-year Reich soared above the pathetic allies of a Second World War, crushing resistance against its Führer's great ambition in both the West and East, and marching its army farther than it ever had before. Although it came at a great cost, as all righteous wars do, even American resistance was ultimately halted in the wake of nuclear fire. Finally, Germany had won, its honor restored, and its destiny made manifest. The Reich wasted no time following its victory. Immediately, it embarked on reshaping Europe in its own image, one of National Socialism, cleansed of a degenerate bourgeoisie and freed from the grasp of a lowly Untermensch. Lebensraum in the east finally became achievable, and was along the vast Elantropa Dam in the Mediterranean and the Congo River Dam, fueled by the largest slavery apparatus the world had ever seen. The German prestige project in the following years. The Heer had become the largest and most powerful army in the world, protecting German ambitions from the British Isles to the Russian wastes and the rainforests of Africa. Where once bitter infighting shed brothers' blood, there now stood the Einheitspact, guided by the Greater German Reich and its visionary leadership. It didn't take long for it all to crumble, though. In the span of less than a decade, the German economy practically evaporated, followed by the disgraceful West Russian War. That brought the Reich to the brink of collapse, and the betrayal of the SS orchestrated by none other than the nefarious Heinrich Himmler. Had it not been for the quick and decisive action of the Wehrmacht, the Reich would have collapsed. Still, the damage was done. The experience of the 50s combined with rampant slavery and the reality of the world pressing down upon Germany has utterly destroyed the people's confidence in their government. No longer is the Reich the proud hegemon of the world. It is now merely a shadow of itself, torn by shameless infighting, united only in fear for its future. So we can steer Germany through 4 potential contenders, saving or dooming it in the process. We can restore, maintain, or even expand our hegemony across Europe through diplomacy, deceit, and war. And we can meet the many faces of German politics, align ourselves with them, or strive to survive their ambitions. So we gotta go through the major characters. Starring Adolf Hitler. The Führer is Germany, and Deutschland ist das Führer. That is the party line. The truth through the NSDAP, the NSDAP set in the world, and that Hitler finally confirmed in the course of the Second World War. When victory came, it did so in glory the Reich had not seen in close to a century. Her eternal enemies beaten, crushed under the greatest war machine the world had ever seen. Hitler had become the linchpin of this glory, and to this day, his name is written with any mention of it, alongside those innumerable crimes committed in the process. What followed was a decade of prosperity and power, where the Reich stood as the unquestioned hegemon of the world, and our despair and tragedy in the years after, when the people saw it all crumble to dust, the Führer could only watch and smile, watch and cry. And we have Martin Bormann. There are few men in the Reich as powerful as Martin Bormann, chief of the party chancellery. Supported by many and hated by just as many, Bormann has deftly cleaved his way through the Byzantine politics that dominated the Reich. Today, he not only stands as effectively the spokesman of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. I don't know why I didn't just do say the abbreviation there. I don't know. But as the face of the Reich's conservative movement, hardly preaching the curb of National Socialism and only suggesting minor changes to curb corruption and inefficiency, in contrast to Speer's reformism and Göring's militarism. With his close ties to Hitler, his relative dominance over the Reichstag, and its track record as a loyal supporter of National Socialism, Bormann is widely regarded in international circles as the most likely successor to Führership. Of course, in the case of the power struggle over the Reich's reigns ever going hot, hint hint, having the loyalty of a good portion of the Heer probably can't hurt either. And then we have Göring. Hermann Göring is a man of much bravado, the bombastic leader of the militarist wing of the NSDAP. Almost nobody except the Führer himself can claim the adoration of the public as well as he. One of the original members of the Nazi Party, Göring commands respect in the way that few others can. While with the conservative wing of the party already firmly under Bormann's control, Göring turned to the Heer, quickly aligning just over half of the armed forces to his view. Backed by Field Marshal Ferdinand Schorner, Göring promises to bring the Reich back to its glory days, though not through reforms, but through conquest, of course. Under Göring's command, the Reich would march on the rest of the world, conquering anyone and everyone who got in its way. This hyper-aggressive foreign policy has certainly raised concerns among the international community. A warrior that is not helped by Göring's seemingly good chance to be nominated as the next Führer. Whether he could actually pull off all he promises, however, remains to be seen. Now we have Albert Speer. I almost went over forwards. Oh, fuck. We got a lot of people to read about. Depending on who you ask, Albert Speer is either the man who can save the Reich or the man who will destroy it. Foreshadowing is a device used in cinema. Few can boast such fame or such controversy as a Reich's chief architect, whose current goal is to destroy a system that he himself set up. The system of slavery which, as he claims, is choking the life out of the Reich. Having surrounded himself with the Gang of Four, Ludwig Erhard, Helmut Schmidt, Kurt Georg Kissinger, and Henning von Treschow, Speer has taken a decidedly reformist tact, seizing the youth with his promise of general liberalization and a better future. Of course, whether Speer is a reformist, as both his greatest supporters and his staunchest enemies claim, is a much different story, as he himself seems unwilling to go as far as the gang pushes him to. Though his friendship with Adolf Hitler gives him a chance to be nominated as a Führer's successor, it's unclear whether he could, let's go down, back that up with force if push comes to shove. Then we have Reinhard Heydrich, the Butcher of Prague, the Blonde Beast, the young evil god of death. That sounds like an anime name, Jesus. The young evil god of death. Many names have been conjured for Reinhard Heydrich, and yet none of them can accurately sum up the man that is almost universally reviled throughout the Reich. Head of a German SS, Heydrich's close relationship with Hitler, combined with his own cleverness and the general competence of the modern SS, perhaps the only thing that has kept him from being exiled or worse long ago. As head of an organization that is the black sheep of Germany, mostly Heydrich is nothing more than Heinrich Himmler's puppet on a string, only serving as a figurehead for his nefarious agenda. Technically, Heydrich is a possible candidate for the Führership. However, with almost no political power nor popular support, such a choice seems unlikely. In the event that Heydrich not only is selected as the next Führer, but secures control over the Reich and defeats his competitors, the world can only quake at the thought of a proud supporter of the Burgundian system controlling one of the most powerful nations on Earth. But spoiler alert, it doesn't last long. Ferdinand Schorner. I think we only have two guys left, and then we can move on to regional info, and then we'll actually start the damn game. Ferdinand Schorner is famous for many reasons, and few of them are positive. First famous for his brutality during the Second World War, up to executing soldiers found behind the front lines without orders. Then famous for his failed plot against the Reich, only stopped by the quick actions of Hans Speidel, Schorner has once again made his way back to the upper ranks of German politics with his ferocious backing of Hermann Göring. If Göring is the head of militarism, then Schorner is its heart. His extreme militarism exceeds that of even Göring as he pushes for war with Burgundy, Japan, and even the United States. Things that Göring himself shies away from. Indeed, some even whisper that Schorner, not Göring, is the true power behind the militarist's bid for the Führership. No matter who wins the struggle for the Führership, Schorner's role is nearly guaranteed to play a major part in the administration. Too big to get rid of and famously power-hungry, Schorner will waste no opportunity to gain power, both for himself and for his Heer. And then we have Speidel. We say opposites attract, but no opposites repel each other like Schorner and Hans Speidel. While Schorner's always been one to advocate for increased Heer involvement in the Reichstag, Speidel's argued for the exact opposite many times over the years. While Schorner is staunchly against the reforms proposed by Speer, Speidel, if not receptive, is certainly not dismissive of the idea either. In perhaps the most stark case of this divide, Speidel was the one to halt Schorner's aborted coup in the 50s, sparking a bitter feud between the two that continues to this day. True to his ideals, Speidel has professed neutrality in the current struggle for power in the Reich. No matter who wins in the end, however, Speidel will certainly be a major player in the struggle for the future of the Heer, and Schorner will certainly be there to challenge him. Moving on. Regional info? Okay, I was about to say. This isn't British Isles, this is just Europe. It was not under the glorious banners of heroic men that Europe descended towards oblivion, nor was it the forward progress of the world that left all of Western civilization scarred and deformed in the wake of the 40s. Rather, it was with fear and terror inspired by the German Reich and its scornful conquest across the fields of France, Russia, and beyond. Everywhere one may look, the German Reich has brought its influence, whether through its overlordship of a dozen European puppets leading a cleansing effort against the native populaces, or the gutted nature of Mediterranean. I've been watching too much Crown T. I said Mediterranean. God damn it. Following the failures of the Atlantropa project, all has been touched by the iron heart of the Führer, Adolf Hitler, self-described as the master of Europe. However, such a master does not bear the likeness of his subjects, nor the respect of its neighbors. Instead, the south of Germany finds itself tied in a massive anti-German alliance known as the Triumvirate, intent on rebuilding the ruined European economy through the political gauntlet of Italy's upper chambers and the rapidly changing political climate of the insatiable empire, the insufferable bureaucracy of Franco and Salazar's dual dictatorship, which breeds discontent among the populace of the Iberian Union, and the distant, angered, wronged cries of the Turkish over foreign conquest denied from it for so long. However, such is not the only noble threat to the Führer's borders as well, as whispers of a storm of dissent hovering over the previously stormed lands of the UK have left the collaboration's government in fear of an incoming battle for the homeland, while the East finds that the many cultures of Slavs, Poles, and other large minorities waging a war of the underground against the many Reich Commissars and other collaborationist regimes operating in the Balkans claim dictatorial imperial dominion over their homeland. The German eagle has soared high over Europe, and greatly has this flight left its wings burned. However, the fight is not over yet. Whilst the Reich brews over in its own hotbed of syncopathy, betrayed in competition for succession in lieu of Führer's impending demise, a state of shadow lies due east, biding its time, watching each and every move of the many states across Europe, plotting its own machinations in the wake of disenchantment from Reich's failures. I'm gonna sneeze, goddammit. And the Ordensstaat only has so much time left to accomplish its mark upon this corrupted world. Forwards! Destiny awaits. I'm gonna go ahead, get the armies figured out real quick. I gotta set, before I do that though, I should set my timer, because I don't want to go horribly over. I'll move it down to 30 minutes. I usually start recording 35-minute sessions at a time, but I'm thinking that might be a bit too much. Okay, so I don't need that many. I'm gonna need what? Fuck. Do math. You can do it, dog. 9. Okay. Yeah, 9. Get it? Like German. What else? Was ist das? Alright, so let's try to get these guys in the north here. I'll do half of that. Kind of do this. That's... Who else are we missing? The Germania troops, okay. Is that it? Nope, I'm missing some guys in Frankfurt. So I'll get these guys figured out. We got a big fucking army, Jesus. Is that gonna be... That's not gonna be it. God damn it. How many troops do we need? Well, I mean, we conquered Europe and everyone hates us, so probably a lot. So I answer my own question. And my allergies are kind of killing me. I'm not a fan of this. Field Marshal, we'll go with, Spidel. So it's Spidel. I think it's Spidel. As for generals, we'll go with, Bayerlein, von Schwerin, Tolsdorf, Husinger, and for last we'll go Graf von Baudissin. Why not? So let's take a look at our situation. We can ignore this. This is It's supposed to be for Gorng's Germany, and we're not playing that just because, one, it's kind of difficult, because you have to try to do a world conquest. Keyword there is try. And, two, his focus tree is bugged anyway. So, it's not worth trying to play him right now. So we'll ignore this for now. We're going to take a look first at, the man himself, Adolf Hitler. He's a dictator, gives us some extra political power gain. And how does one begin to define Adolf Hitler? Führer and Reich Chancellor of the Greater German Reich, the undisputed tyrant of 19 countries, the architect of the Welthauptstadt Germania, Supreme Commander of the Wehrmacht, Führer of the Nationalsozialist Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, and Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 38, 46, and 61. Not wrong. Probably was a man of those years, not for good reasons, but A man of humble beginnings, the son of Austrian innkeepers, he was educated in Munich and Vienna, and served with distinction with the German army during the First World War. His rise to power is meteoric, none can deny, and even failed attempts like the Beer Hall Putsch served only to further his ambitions. His combination of violence and showmanship drove the Communists and Democrats out of the Reichstag and placed him into its highest office. Under his leadership, Germany broke the chains of the Versailles Treaty, developed a terrifying new military, and forced the other nations of Europe to their knees until the swastika flew over all of Europe from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean to the Black Sea. Under his guidance, the Reich built such wonders as Atlantropa and Germania, and under his watchful eye, the undesirables of Europe were viciously exterminated and fed to the flames. Oh dear. Right. Is that part of the German? It's hard to read that in a impressive dramatic voice. Whatever. But the lord and master of all Germania, of all Europe between the Urals and the Pyrenees has grown old and ugly, kinda. Yeah, I'd say ugly. It also looks like, I can't unsee this. There was a meme on, Fatino Order where it's like, you know the deepfake tech, memes that they're posting, like, or singing the one Japanese song, or, I'm assuming you guys know what I'm talking about. There's this one where Hitler's like, hi, can I get a number 24 Burger King, whatever it was. And I can't think of, every time I see that portrait, I'm not going to be able to unsee it. And like at the end is like, cash your card. Do you take Reddit karma? And just an idea of Adolf Hitler doing that fucking Yandere dev. I don't even think it was originally Yandere dev, but I'll forever associate that with Yandere dev and Adolf Hitler. Which is probably the only two things you should associate with Yandere dev with Hitler. I mean, that's a whole other thing. You probably guys hopefully don't know what I'm talking about even. Anyway, the Lord and Master of all Germany, of all Europe, between the Urals and the Pyrenees, has grown old. Or his voice could once command a crowd's rapt attention. There's only quite rasping now. A cold calculating mind of steel has gone to rust. The hands that pen Mein Kampf constantly tremble now as he adds the final touches to a watercolor of those long dead faces slipping from his memory. The greatest conqueror the world has ever known since Alexander and Napoleon, is an old and frail man. In 1962 he is 73 years of age, and some dared to whisper that he is not long for this world. The fear of all the world is that once the Führer's funeral pyre is lit, it will spread the great conflagration of war all across Europe once more. Which is probably a safe assumption there. But we have some national spirits we gotta look over real quick before we actually move on. We have To Banish Want, which is just fucking god-awful. Jesus. The revolution of the common man incinerated the decadence of yore, tearing everything and more down. Fueled by promises of a fuller life under the better world order of National Socialism. Turns out that didn't work out. Decades of economic mismanagement and ruin followed. Lebensraum was hardly realized and proved alongside projects like the likes of Atlantropa and Germania, the catalyst of the Reich's self-obliteration. Slavery, both stopgap measure and means to racial destruction at once, ultimately destroyed an entire generation's productivity and faith in the party. The inability of the Nazi party to scale down the overbloated Wehrmacht's budget only adds insult to injury. This is a dead end. Then we have the two principles. A big hit to stab, a big hit to political power, and the very existence of the Reich hinges on the Führer. The German Workers' Party, National Socialist German Workers' Party, sought to be the party with a true ideology, and the one and only power in Germany. By these principles, they fought and won, securing itself a stranglehold over the most powerful empire on earth. By 1962, with the attempted SS coup, economic breakdowns, West Russian war, and the repeated failures of the Nazi Party, all but incinerating their image as the one and only power, rampant factionalism is burning down what little remains of the true ideology. All of this under the satisfied guidance of Adolf Hitler, and utter shock of the German people. So that's not good. Then we have NC, ? A hit to monthly population, war support, research base, academic base monthly change, poverty monthly change, and industrial expertise monthly change. It's fucking dog shit. There's not a damn good thing in Germany right now. It seems, at least. Endsieg, the ultimate victory over the Jewish capitalist old order. Please, no one take these quotes out of context. Came after years of bloodshed, bitter fighting, and sacrifices. With this victory came the new order, with National Socialism as the guiding gospel to the Reich has become. A new life awaited the Germans, one of settlement in the east, one of destiny fulfilled. General Ostplan failed, so did the Nazi Party's image as the sole legitimate ideology for Germany, destroyed by failure after failure after failure. Not unlike the Nazi Party's leadership, the German people are deeply divided, united only one matter: fear for the future. Relatable. And fear for the future. Not, all that stuff. Okay, gone over. So we get a bit more recruit population factor and some more air range, but we get a bunch of shitty bonuses, and we cannot train units to span them or edit their templates. Like an unstoppable wave guided by the righteous destiny of the Aryan, the Wehrmacht stormed over Europe in the Second World War. The lowly were subjugated, the Germanics elevated, and the Reich's rightful territories conquered. For a while it seemed as though nothing could stop the German god of war. Rot soon infested the Wehrmacht where once glory reigned. If it wasn't for the few bright minds in it left, the Reich would have collapsed in the West Russian War. With the mad bombing runs and boundless conscription, it desperately clings to relevance. But there's no way around it. The god of war has gone over to the other side. You do not like to see it. Anyhow, it's time to actually play more of a game. I mean, we sort of started it with assigning our armies, but we got more shit to do. I guess some better artillery. Can't do too much construction, tech-wise, although we're already pretty ahead of time in that regard. I guess radar. I don't know. Might not matter too much ultimately. The question is, what are we building? I guess I'll finish that off. More guns is always nice. Support equipment, some anti-tank, motorized. Yeah. Free dockyards. When in doubt, build convoys. As I always say. I've definitely said that before. Anyone says otherwise, that's just fake news. And it looks like we can't build shit. And so, just in case that changes, we'll prime some stuff to be built. If where I'm building it doesn't spoil who I'm building, I guess we'll see what happens in a bit. So we have a little focus tree. This might not go very well, but you know, what are you gonna do? Let's go ahead and get a man on the moon. Should our effort to land... Jesus. What was that? Please tell me I don't have corona now. Shit's starting to reopen. I went to the movies today. I don't want to get corona now. This is our moment. The culmination of decades of tiresome research and continuous advancement, headed by the brilliant Dr. Werner von Braun. The German Aerospace Center is ready to commence its greatest operation to date, landing the first man on the moon. If successful, it will become the Reich's greatest scientific achievement since the weaponization of the atom. Jewish physics be damned, I guess. The space race is now to come to an end, with the dominant will of National Socialism soon to triumph over the degenerate Americans and backwards Japanese once again. Heil Hitler! I'm sure nothing will go wrong here. Anyhow, I guess I should start assigning my guys somewhere. We'll we need guys on Burgundy. I can tell you that much. We'll get some guys on Schweiz, Swiss, however you say Switzerland in Italian, I guess Romansh or whatever that other one is. That's technically an official language. We'll do a front line on the Italian border. Where else? Maybe the Hungarian border. Can have that going, that kind of thing going. Denmark, I'm not worried about. I mean, these are the nerves. Maybe Romania. That's a good final location to send my troops. Yeah, I'm okay with this. Okay. If one were to gaze upon the drab visage of this balding little man, it would be hard to view him as anything more than a stuffy bureaucrat, one single cog in the grand mechanism of the state. Such a miscalculation could be a potentially fatal mistake. As chief of the party chancellery and private secretary of the Führer, Martin Bormann had climbed the greasy rungs of the German Workers' I'm just going to say Nazi Party. I'm going to try to say Nazi Party, not forget. Of the Nazi Party in silent persistence, asking for neither fame nor excess on any step of his rise to authority. His friends and foes alike referred to him mockingly as the Brown Eminence. That's a poop joke. Such a scatological slur means nothing to Bormann, who cares little for humor. I mean, it's German, what do you expect? And less for personal insults directed towards his character. He's not a man of pomp or ceremony, but of duty and dedication to the Reich. Many would claim he is rarely seen stepping out of the Führer's gradually diminishing shadow, except those who whisper of his visits to beautiful young actresses and models throughout the nation. I'm hoping there aren't any tables involved with Bormann, because that I think we all know the problem with Bormann and tables. As the new decade, I think they removed that event, which makes sense, kinda. As the new decade rolls on, Martin Bormann continues to stalk the shadowy corridors of power in his ill-fitting suit, further enveloping himself in the mechanisms of the Reich's bureaucratic apparatus. The bizarre contradiction of such a despised man holding such enormous influence betrays a mind dedicated solely to the pursuit of power, whatever the cost may be. In my dictionary, duty is written in capitals. Heh, duty poop. Anyway, let's get on. We can check decisions. We don't have any yet. We have to get the man on the moon first. Shoot. Processing is done, apparently. Okay. The Gilded Reichsmarschall. If the Führer is the paternalistic ruler of the German Reich, then Hermann Göring is the popular uncle. Beloved by the citizens for his jolly demeanor, and the Wehrmacht for promising their interests throughout the decades, the Reichsmarschall has always desired to maintain the reputation of a diligent military man, loyal to his Reich and his Führer. To believe such a thing would be to downplay the man's ambitions, having held many illustrious posts, from the founder-in-chief of the Gestapo to the Reich potentiary of the four-year plan. The aristocratic Göring has developed a lust for power and wealth few could rival. Residing in his enormous Caron mansion with his vast collection of outfits, jewelry, and artwork, plundered from the Reich's conquest, of course, the Reichsmarschall continues to coalesce as much influence around him as possible. While not as close to Hitler as he once was, he's acquired relevance by becoming the de facto figurehead of the militarist movement. Some would argue that Göring is little more than a pompous buffoon, allowing himself to be puppeted by radical forces in the hopes of acquiring even more attention and power. Others would find such a suggestion to be foolish, of course, for Göring has long proven himself to be manipulatively cunning as he is dedicated. His role in the future of Reich politics remains to be seen. My measures will not be crippled by a bureaucracy. Well, you know what they say about efficiency Germans. If you don't, I don't know what to say. Free dockyards. A figure often overlooked by the convoluted politics of the Reich, Albert Speer is nonetheless one of its key players. Architect by profession and personal friend of Hitler from the beginning of his rise to power. Speer was attracted to the Führer's persuasive dialect and his greater plans for Germany. The attraction was mutual. As soon as Hitler looked at Speer's work, the young architect found himself launched at the forefront of the party's leadership and tasked with designing dozens of public buildings. The war changed everything. Speer was appointed Minister for the Armament during the most difficult time of the conflict, and was there that a side of his personality made itself even more evident: opportunism. He took the merit for Germany's production surge, but his main contribution to the war effort had been the invention of what would forever change the Reich: slavery. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of inferiors and war prisoners toiled and died in the military-industrial complexes, fueling the German war machine with their lives. After the war, Speer returned to his passion and single-handedly designed the culmen of the Reich's grandeur. Germania, the new Caput Mundi, was set to overshadow Rome, Paris, and all great cities around the world, but then the economy crashed, taking its dreams with it. In a moment of catharsis, he understood that slavery had been among the main reasons for the collapse, and in the most opportunistic of moves, he started speaking against it, asking for reform. As an unwanted consequence, he found himself the focal point of a large reformist movement advocating for change. Swept by currents stronger than him, he decided to follow them, desperately hoping that no one would ever discover his mistakes. For good or for ill, Albert Speer has, in his own way, reshaped Germany, forever changing both its architectural fashion and its society. He is, and forever will be, the Reich architect. The Reich is my greatest work. Oh, thank God, we have white Finland again. Whew. I was worried that we might get something else. On the 19th of January, 1962, Eberhard Kollner, using a rocket based off the A9-A10 design from World War II, and a member of a team led by the acclaimed scientist Wernher von Braun, has become the first man to ever land on the moon. While the space race has been a struggle between the Reich, Japan, and the USA, and while Americans had managed to put the first man in space, the Führer was proud to announce that the German landing firmly plants the Reich as the victor of the competition, and that Kollner was photographed giving the characteristic Nazi salute at the flag as the Earth rose in the horizon was the perfect example of a hero of Germany. A grand ceremony is planned in Germania to present Kollner and his fellow astronauts with the Iron Cross, and a week of celebration has been declared across the Reich. While terse congratulations have been sent from America and Japan, President Nixon has vowed that the United States would be the first to create a permanent mission on the moon. And Japan shortly therefore announced it will be the first to land on Mars. Not if Glenn has anything to say about it. I mean, yeah, the final frontier. So we get 30 political power. We get the national spirit, the man on the moon, which gives us a little extra pee-pee and a little extra research fee, which is very nice. I'll up my construction budget real quick. See if we can't start building stuff. There we go. Okay. Firmly the protector of Bohemia Moravia, director of the SD, and one of the principal architects of the Endlösung. Is that Final Solution? I'm guessing Final Solution. The very name, Reinhard Heydrich, is uttered in fear by German citizens and Slavic slaves alike. A man of infamously intellectual and cultured sensibilities, the Reichsführer of the German SS hides his insatiably animalistic hunger for power behind a cold sheen of quiet reservation. while his meteoric rise in influence and status throughout the 1930s and 40s surprised no one. Few could have predicted his ascension to the leadership of the Schutzstaffel would become as a result of Heinrich Himmler's fatal coup in the 50s. Despite its many fractures, the party is unified behind its hatred of Heydrich and the fear of his SS. Many believe it is only Hitler's respect for the man with the iron heart that enables him to maintain such a position of brutal authority, although others would point to a different source. Heinrich Himmler, tyrannical despot of the mysterious Burgundian Order state, is theorized by many to be the true power behind the throne. While Heinrich and Himmler have their disagreements, both men advocate the return of, quote, true National Socialism, unquote, by which they mean an end to the corruption of the party and the imposition of a totalitarian state dedicated to the values of the SS. The attempt by Hitler's inner circle to reduce the influence of the SS have not been entirely unsuccessful, but as long as Reinhard Heydrich remains to be its leader, it will not dissipate so easily. There is no problem which the Gestapo cannot solve. That's what I'm saying. I say that all the time, as you all know. And that is a joke. I don't like the SS. I should make that clear, because you never know nowadays, what people think of the SS. And let me tell you, I don't like them. I really don't. What are we gonna go for? It's not gonna matter. Spoiler alert. There we are. An assassin strikes at the Führer on January 21st, 1962. As the Reich still celebrated their victory in the space race, Germania, froze in shock as an individual of Japanese origin entered the Führer's office and attempted to assassinate Hitler. Armed with a handgun, the assassin, suspected to be a member of a Japanese Kenpai, would have killed Hitler if one of his bodyguards had not happened to enter the Führer's office off schedule. Hitler was shot once before the agent was killed, and the Führer was briefly hospitalized before being declared stable. While he survived, news briefly leaked that he had been killed in the attempt, and the Reichstag entered crisis without a leader. Members of the German RSD briefly blocked down the city, armored cars filling the street, and roadblocks ending all traffic for the day. The situation nearly turned to disaster when separate orders were given to both forces of the Wehrmacht and units belonging to the RHSA to occupy the city and ensure peace. When both groups, as well as the RSD, ordered the others to stand down, a 36-hour standoff occurred that nearly turned to open war in the streets had Hitler not recovered and given a personal order for all military units to return to their barracks. Blood was shed regardless, as several officials belonging to various factions were assassinated in chaos, victims of plans sprung too soon. Heinrich Himmler has denounced the chaos, claiming that the strike would have been prevented had the Reich not fallen into decadence, and ordering SS units across Burgundy to prepare to ensure peace in Germany, supposedly only if Hitler requests for assistance. Supposedly. The German SS, while supposedly independent from Himmler, has began voicing support for his involvement. The incident has shown the dire need for the state has for an heir to the Nazi Empire, but the Reichstag sits frozen, unable to decide. Not only has this been brought to light, however, but relations with Japan are now at an all-time low, and although Japan has denied sending the assassin, Wehrmacht leaders have been ordered to prepare ready for the worst. Our scars are exposed to the world. That's a big PP hit. Oh, but it looks like we have something good. The port city of Wilhelmshaven houses some of the largest and oldest shipbuilding facilities in the entire world. Its awe-inspiring dry docks are capable of building nearly anything from corvettes and minesweepers to a gigantic battleship. We have, I can't speak. Well, it's 1:30 a.m. I don't know why I'm still up. Two gigantic battleships have left these docks, even when the idea of a German nation was still a new concept. Karl Donitz knows the production capabilities of these facilities, as that word, der Marina, he has seen dozens of ships launch over the years, but this is the moment which will go down in history. I'll dismiss that. I'll keep going because I want to set the stage for the successor real quick. Today, the largest and most powerful aircraft carrier of the Kriegsmarine, Christian Adler, by Hitler himself, is finally ready for its maiden voyage, a spectacle that will be broadcasted all over the Reich. Admiral Donitz knows what remains unspoken. The Adler is not the latest capital ship, but the last for the foreseeable future, as the Reich can no longer afford to build new ships as per the 1958 budget. Funding had been slashed in nearly all sectors. Ship maintenance and payrolls are all that the Kriegsmarine will be bankrolling for now. The ceremony was lovely. The Führer himself thanked the admirals profusely for his tireless dedication and work, with vague promises spoke about, more funding for the Kriegsmarine soon, something he had done since '58. Donitz ceremonially nodded when he needed to, and offered thanks when appropriate, as he had done dozens of times before. Even the model military man, he greeted the rest of the Führer's entourage. He shook hands with Martin Bormann first. An upstanding gentleman, really. Next, Albert Speer. An opportunistic Nazi, no more. Speer was opportunistic, then Donitz wondered what Göring would be considered. The man was looking surprisingly spry as well. And last but not least, Reinhard Heydrich's cold, clammy hand. A blonde butcher, and a bastard to boot. The Admiral glanced back over at his Führer, was blabbering to an aide. He was getting old, and old age was not treating him kindly. God help the Reich once Hitler was... Donitz pushed the thought out of his head. He was a Navy man, first and foremost. Let the politics to those four schemers. Hoist the Reichskriegsflagge. So we'll go a bit longer, and then I'll end the first part, and I'll probably go to sleep. Because I got a bunch of homework I gotta do tomorrow. Which I'm not looking forward to, but, that's what I get for signing up for 19 fucking units. Today the world watches as one of the most significant moments of the 20th century prepares to take place. Almost a week after the Führer was shot, an attempted assassination believed to have been orchestrated by Japan, Hitler today appeared on national television, with the necessity for an appointed successor being exposed by the incident. Following days of heated debate, Hitler stood before the Reichstag to announce his choice. 4 candidates have been speculated for days. Martin Bormann, expert politician and head of the party, is a staunch conservative and believed the most likely candidate. Also believed highly possible is the militarist Hermann Göring, the beloved uncle of a nation of Hitler's father. Also named, another name being put forward, is Albert Speer, whatever. One of the Führer's closest friends, was advocated for extensive reform within the Reich. Finally, some have even suggested that naming Reinhard Heydrich as his successor would allow for the hostility between Germany and the SS to finally come to an end. Though not how you might think. I was going to spoil it, but if you don't know, I'll let you figure it out. After a lengthy, sometimes incoherent speech during which the Führer spoke repeatedly about the strength of Germany, at times seeming to lose his train of thought, the Führer lifted a trembling hand and declared his successor would be the reformer, Albert Speer. Yeah, we're doing Speer Gang of 4 game. So that unlocks the power thingamajig. So starting out, I'll read this next time, honestly. Actually, I'll wait for a little news event. Anything? There we are. I'll wait a few days. There we are. Following the recent attempt on the German Führer's life by a suspected Kenpeitai agent, the pressure upon the Führer to name an official successor, and for the Reichstag to formally recognize their choice, has been steadily building. After almost a week of debate and speculation, Adolf Hitler today appeared on live television from the Reichstag. Announcement to the Reich that his successor would be Albert Speer. A highly controversial choice, Speer enjoys support from left-leaning members of the Reichstag and the liberal movement in Germany due to his advocacy of extensive economic and political reform. Excuse me. The decision has upset the more conservative elements within the Reich, however, with Martin Bormann, Hermann Göring, and Reinhard Heydrich each announcing the choice. A new dawn for the Reich, perhaps. I'll tell you why exactly I'm going for Speer over the rest one of these days. Probably next time, if I remember. But I'm going to call it just because it's late. I'm tired. I'm not always the best reader when it comes to saying what's actually on the screen, but now especially it's not helping. So I think some sleep is gonna help, and so I'll be back whenever I get time to do my next recording session. So thank you as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more uploads every weekday, as well as occasionally Saturdays. I should stop saying every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concern, anything like that, leave it in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any and all feedback you might have for me. If you want to send a few bucks my way, I have a Patreon. You can check that out down link below. If you want to chat, play games, and have a grand time, I have the Discord. You can check that out. If you want to watch and keep up with me whenever I go live, check out my Twitch down link below. Hit a follow. I don't think they have a notification bell over there, but there's something that can email you when I go live. It won't happen for a while just because I'm going to be busy with school, but it'll happen in the future, I promise you. So if you're curious, go ahead and check it out. Anyway, that's all the time I have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. My name has been DB333. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.